So you've been doing a ton of research, you've been looking at different breeders, you've been looking at different types of breeds, and you finally came and decided on what type of breed you wanted for your future assistance dog. Now, congratulations, you took the step, you have the pup, but now the next question, kind of the obvious question is, when should you start training said pup? Hey, if we haven't met, I'm Dr. Emerald of Working Canine Club, and my mission is to give tips, tools, and tricks to those wanting to train their own assistance or therapy dog. Like I said at the beginning of this video, you just got a new pup, but now the question is, when should you start their training? There's tons and tons of different information all across the board of when you should be training, what you should be training, and my goal in this video is to help give you some guidelines and help guide you along in that process so you can feel confident going forward and giving your pup the best chance at becoming an assistance dog. Hopefully the breeder that you decided to pick up your pup from is used to and is comfortable with assistance dogs. Why? Well, because there's so much that goes into the training of an assistance dog that it actually starts right as soon as the puppy is born, and during the first 8 weeks there's already a lot of development going on. There's a lot of socialization opportunities for your pup that can really help make or break their future as a future assistance dog. Now, some of the things that they should be acclimated and used to are different noises, textures, different environments, and different people. Now, if your breeder didn't do this or you're not sure, that's okay. But ideally, you were able to find a breeder that is doing these type of things to really set your dog up. And ideally, they would be doing this with any of their dogs, but it is especially important for a future assistance or service dog. Now, some of the things that they would be doing, as I mentioned before, is noise. Many breeders will have soundtracks or loops of, say, like car sounds, construction sounds, maybe pots and pans banging. So your dog just kind of associates this as part of their world. That's really important for making sure that they're nice and steady and they're acclimated to these type of things. Textures and surfaces are also really important for a dog to get used to during their first 8 weeks, because that again is going into that developmental stage. If they are used to walking on carpet, concrete, tile, they have slippery surfaces, or they play with items that are kind of dangling in their face, all of those things are going to be really helpful in your dog's future success. Now, of course, you won't necessarily be in charge of any of that stuff because you won't have had your pup, but it is something to keep in mind. Once you have your pup home with you, you do certainly have a ton of different things that you can start doing, and likely you're gonna feel a little bit overwhelmed. That is okay. Don't worry, just take it one step at a time. That is just kind of my biggest piece of advice here. When you have a new puppy in the house, take a deep breath and just let it go. You are gonna be just fine. Now, ideally, what I would recommend first off is really starting to work on potty training with your new pup. I find that to be kind of the biggest hurdle because that also plays into getting the dog sleeping through the night, as well as you don't want to have to be cleaning up accidents all of the time. So as soon as you get your pup, I would recommend immediately going in and starting to work on that potty training. Now that's outside the scope of this particular video, but if you're looking for resources, I would recommend checking out our site, workingcanineclub.com, where we have a whole section on potty training your dog. And this is something that can certainly be done over the course of about a week and a half, depending on how much time and effort you put into training your dog. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to be foolproof, because a pup doesn't get full control of their bladder until about 6 months, but you can certainly limit the number of accidents by helping them understand where it's appropriate to go to the bathroom comparatively to where it is not appropriate to go. The next part that I would recommend starting to work on with your pup is creating behaviors. And this is something that your dog is going to be learning regardless of if you are being conscious about it or not. So I would really recommend spending some time and really thinking about the type of behaviors you want to foster and create in your new pup. And some different types of behaviors will be walking on a loose leash, being quiet in their crate, or having crate time, teaching them where you would like them to hang out when you are not 100% focused on them. For Newport, I set him up right next to my computer desk so that even when I wasn't 100% focused on him, he knew what was expected of him. And that has made things going forward so much easier. So proper and behaviors that really support your lifestyle can be a game changer for you and your pup. Between the ages of 8 and 16 weeks, we do not expect your puppy to know all of the different types of commands that they'll learn over likely their year to year and a half time frame of training. But what we do want, and what I highly recommend, is to introduce all of those different commands that your dog will eventually be learning. Now, for a lot of assistance dogs, they'll be learning anywhere between 20 to 45 commands, and sometimes even more. So, like I said, your dog does not need to know all of these commands in the first 8 to 16 weeks, but what we want to do is to create a framework for them to get used to and go through the movements of these commands. What this is going to do for your dog is it's really going to get them comfortable moving in these positions. So making sure that they're comfortable putting paws up on the different surfaces, going over and fetching or retrieving items, doing laps, or having you work with them while in a seated position. Going through as many of these different commands as you can during this time is really going to turbocharge your dog's training, because as they get older and you go and you spend some time on these different commands, it won't be completely new to them. They'll kind of have this memory of, hey, you know, I'm pretty sure I did some of this before. I can't quite remember. Oh, right. Yeah, I did this and I went over here, I put my paws up on this and I got a treat. That's right. We are rocking and rolling. So take the time to really sprinkle in those commands as your puppy is going through this very important developmental stage. And finally, socialization. Probably one of the most important pieces in helping your dog be a successful assistance dog is consistent socialization. Now, this is appropriate socialization. This doesn't mean taking your 10-week-old puppy into the middle of a mall or a sporting event, because that would just be too much for them. But you could go to a local store, pop open the back of your car, and just hang out with your pup while they are in the back of your car in a crate. What this is going to do is it's still going to start that socialization so they can continue to see and hear different types of environments, but they're not so far into it where there isn't a good buffer. This is something to keep in mind as you're going through and socializing your dog, is that you want to make sure that any socialization is appropriate for their age. Eventually, yes, your dog will be able to go into these areas, but we want to make sure that they are able to be successful as they hit each of these next marks. So like I said, start small and start easy. You don't need to go for a long amount of time. Maybe in the beginning it's only 5 or 10 minutes, and then you slowly progress to 30 minutes. So these are my recommendations to help your brand new little puppy blossom into a future assistance dog. If you enjoyed what you learned from today's video, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell below to stay up to date with all of Working Canine Club's newest videos. And if you're looking for more guidance on training your own assistance or therapy dog, check out our website, workingcanineclub.com, where we have a ton of different videos and series to help guide you and your pup all the way through to becoming an assistance or therapy dog. Until next time, I'm Dr. Emerald of Working Canine Club. See you later.